Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and HBO's Westworld Season 2 has ended, leaving those of us who obsessively watch the show slightly less confused than usual, which is a big win as far as I'm concerned. There are just enough reveals and clues to piece together what's going on. That is, until a post-credits scene. What is this, an Avengers movie? Not enough deaths. Now that the season's over and we are past this risk of our theories expiring a week later when a new episode blows our minds in a different way, let's look back at this season as the 10-hour movie it secretly is and explain its lingering mysteries. And spoiler warning in case you haven't seen the finale episode. Okay, first and foremost, what the hell was going on with Bernard this season? So in season 2, Bernard's story was split into two timelines. One in the immediate aftermath of the season 1 massacre, and another 2 weeks later, when a more confused Bernard joins the Delos security team. This finale episode tied the two timelines together. Now, I plan to make another video that goes into these timelines in detail, but the gist is, timeline A shows Bernard escaping the massacre with Charlotte Hale, teaming up with Elsie and learning the park's true agenda, rejoining Dolores and killing her to stop her from wiping out the data in the forge. Then Bernard witnesses Charlotte murdering Elsie to cover it all up. So he spends the remaining 12 hours before the Delos team arrives constructing a host version of Charlotte and replacing the real Charlotte with her. He gave this Charlotte Dolores' code. Bernard leaves himself on the beach after scrambling his memories so that the Delos team that finds him won't be able to pry those thoughts out of him. He also says goodbye to the vision of Ford who had been guiding him. Bernard realizes that since he deleted Ford from his code, the voice he had heard was actually himself. This suggests that Bernard has reached a true bicameral mind of consciousness, realizing that the second voice in his head isn't that of a god, but his own. That brings us to timeline B, Bernard's journey with Karl Strand and the Delos team. The Charlotte that joins them in this timeline is actually Dolores in disguise. Notice how in all of these scenes she now wears body armor. This is all part of Bernard's plan to sneak Dolores out of the park. When Charlotte/Dolores is scanned at the end of the episode, she's clear, meaning Bernard must have omitted the explosive inside of every host's neck. We also learn this episode that Bernard was actually Dolores' creation. This is what we were seeing in this third Bernard timeline, the fidelity test between him and Dolores in the past. The original human Arnold created Dolores, of course, but over time she recorded his bio details enough to recreate him as a host. But the true AI host Arnold would inevitably end in suicide, so Dolores changed him to create the sweet, sweet Bernard that we know. The finale scene cleverly illustrated this robot creating robot concept by including MC Escher's hands-drawing hand sketch. And that brings us to Dolores this season, and the question, what are the door, the forge, and the valley beyond? Season 2 showed us an awakened Dolores following the bloodthirsty Wyatt narrative, seeking something called the valley beyond. The finale shows Bernard and Dolores reaching the forge, which is a massive underground database storing all of the backup drives of the park. This forge is the golden egg everyone is after. It contains the biodata secretly recorded from the human guests. We learned this season that Westworld's secret agenda was to collect data on the humans through recordings from the hosts and the guests' hats. Delos can do all kinds of evil stuff with this data, but the implication is that they plan to use it to build AI clone versions of real people, basically to offer immortality to the elite of society. We saw them conduct these fidelity experiments with AI clones of James Delos. Charlotte could use this human data to create host versions of all the humans who were killed in the massacre, basically covering that scandal up. When Dolores and Bernard tore through the forge, its inner computer manifests in the form of Logan. He tells them that humanity isn't all that different from robot algorithms, that all humans also mindlessly go through the motions according to their inner programming, incapable of change. They are just passengers, thus this episode's title. During this tour, we can see in the background various scenes from season 1, suggesting that all these interactions were being used to structure a paradise, a digital Eden that the host AIs could escape into. This is what the Valley Beyond is. The Forge creates a door. It's a rift in reality that only the host can see. The hosts run through this door and transport their minds into this digital Eden, while their empty host bodies tumble down into the ravine in the real world, which of course gets flooded, resulting in the lake of host bodies that Bernard finds later. But rather than letting these host minds live in peace, Dolores has different plans. In the Forge library, she reads books on specific humans. This includes a book on Charlotte Hale, also a book on Karl Strand. The pages of these books are written in sheet music for a player piano, which echoes Ford's final speech.
Mozart, Beethoven, and Chopin never died. They simply became music.
Now, Dolores initially plans to erase all the host data, but after Bernard kills her, she instead uses the Delos satellites to send them somewhere else. And this change in behavior suggests a higher level of consciousness in Dolores as well. So what's next for Dolores and Bernard? Well, the final scene showed Bernard, Dolores, and Charlotte outside Westworld in the human world. Now, we had just seen Charlotte/Dolores escape with 5 host brain pearls in her purse. Those could be ones for Charlotte, Bernard, maybe also Teddy, Maeve, Abernathy, or others. The final chat between Dolores and Bernard hints at a coming war against the human race. Dolores is militant, while Bernard sees goodness in humanity. There actually appear to be some parallels with the civil rights movement, with one revolutionary seeking change through compassion, and the other seeking change through violent upheaval. So I think next season we can expect Dolores and Bernard to continue this ethical debate, as Dolores wages a war on mankind. Meanwhile, remember, we still have 3 sections of the Westworld park yet to be revealed, so I assume we'll get to those as well. There's also more of William's story left to tell. So what happened in the post-credits scene with William and his daughter? Well, if you manage to stick around through the credits and not stare at your reflection in the mirror for hours like I normally do after Westworld, you saw this scene with William descending into the forge to find his daughter, Emily, revealing to him that he's inside his own fidelity test. So what does this mean for William this season? Is he a host? How is Emily still alive? I'll be at the mirror. Co-showrunner Lisa Joy actually confirmed that this post-credits scene takes place in the distant future. That's why the forge is this dusty ruin now. William actually did kill his daughter Emily in the previous episode. This now is a host version of her. And this William is also a host, reliving his final visit to Westworld over and over as these future hosts try to perfect this AI clone's coding to try to match the real thing. Future William will go through the same endless fidelity test that he put James Delos through. Meanwhile, back in the present timeline, William survived. He was found by Stubbs and the recovery team. He'll probably live on to fight another day. To me, William's role in season 2 was to represent true human nature. He's cruel, clever, and cursed, and we learn that his main goal is to conquer death. In season 1, he wanted the stakes to be real, for death in Westworld to be a true option. In season 2, he gets his wish. He entered into a game with 4 that led him to suffer for real. And this post-credits scene teases that William truly will achieve the immortality he seeks, just as a host trapped in a gilded cage forever and ever and ever. Ooh, dark. So that covers Dolores, Bernard, William, and Charlotte, but what about the fate of the other characters? In this finale episode, we saw a few characters make it to the Valley Beyond Digital Eden. Teddy, Maeve's daughter, the Ghost Nation warrior, Akacheta, and his wife. Most of the other characters don't make it. Maeve, Clementine, Hector, and Armistice, and the geisha, Akane. They all die in the host melee. At the end of the finale, Felix and Sylvester were tasked with determining which host to bring back, suggesting that Maeve and her cohorts will probably return. Meanwhile, human characters like Lee and Elsie both got shot and died in the finale. And one last big reveal was that Stubbs has also been a host all this time, apparently. He revealed to Charlotte/Dolores that Ford also programmed him with a role, and that's why he allows her to escape. Now, there are probably a lot more questions to ask about this season of Westworld, but one question I have for you, do you want Dolores to succeed? Comment down below or tweet me directly at Erik Voss, and keep an eye out for the other Westworld Season 2 timeline breakdown we got in the works. Like this video, share it around, and subscribe to New Rockstars for deep dives into Westworld, but also Game of Thrones and other Nolan family-related works. Thanks for watching. Freeze all motor functions. Just kidding. I know robots aren't real. Wait. Oh my God, everyone in the office froze. No. Devin? Aaron? Who did they fill up?